Good to meet you.
Great to meet you
We
too.
are live. We are live.
Yay.
Way welcoming Renee,
Yay.
who built a beautiful website for us, and also Susan Lynn, our great medium from Texas. And have you got water? Have you got
I've got
water yet?
water.
Oh, good. So you're all set.
I'm
All
all
right.
set.
Wonderful. Good to
But
hear.
now they're taking masks off.
Yeah.
We can't help
Oh,
everybody.
I know you can't. You can't. I see Governor Abbott going whoop whoop. Yep, I hope so. They said Beto. Is that how you say it? Beto might
Meadow.
run for
Yeah.
governor. I hope so. I'll vote for him. Except I don't live there. Yeah.
We need
So
big changes here.
you do. But
Big changes are coming across the
yeah,
board, so
everywhere.
we just
Yeah.
have to
Have you
sit
have
and
you
be
got a
patient.
have you got a lineup yet on a vaccine, Susan?
You know what? I do.
Oh, good,
Theoretically, I'm going on Thursday, so
Oh,
good.
that
congrats.
will work. My county's way of dealing with the no mask thing from the state was just to say, "Come all ye get your vaccines." So they
Is it
just took
Harris?
away any of
Okay.
the, whatever
Constrictions. Yeah.
structure. Yeah. So
Is
yeah.
that
Well,
Harris County or
Mhm.
Montgomery County? Oh, Harris. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
see, something happened with the county here in our vaccines. There was some big hoo-ha about um, vaccines that had been improperly stored or
oh yeah.
back held for something, whatever it was a big hoo ha. So the county had their distribution rights and everything taken away. And I don't know if it was the city or the National Guard or
Oh,
whoever took it over. We went yesterday and got our first Pfizer shot. So
isn't that
Oh,
great?
good.
whatever they're
It's
doing it
right.
way better than the people who effed it up before.
True.
Right.
True. Well, I'm really pleased. I'm going to hold my fingers up for you, Susan, too, and pretty soon we'll be able to talk to people who have been vaccinated, without masks and give them a hug. Isn't that a nice idea?
My fiance and I were sitting up talking about that while we were sitting in the line, waiting for our 15 minutes after the shot yesterday. We're like, so, we're trying to do the math. Like, okay, so when do we like get to hang out with each other again?
Yeah.
Because she pretty
Yeah.
much comes by and drops my groceries off once a week, and that's
Oh,
about the
she does.
extent of it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Renee is the one who, I mean, I always love having you, Susan, and you can come every week if you want. But Renee is the one that has some really fun questions for you today,
Uh-oh.
hopefully. And
Okay.
but
yeah,
she,
it was my request to have you come and join us today because
Well,
yeah,
thank
I've been
you.
I've been sitting and talking to you on my TV, so I figured it'd be a lot nicer if we could, talk back and forth to one another and it just not be a one-sided conversation.
yes,
But
That's
absolutely.
but specifically, what I've been finding interesting and learning from you is I've been listening and I'm going, that's what all that noise in my head has been all my life. So
Yeah,
now I'm going, okay, well, I should pay attention to those things that are happening in there from now on because apparently that's who's talking to me.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I came from. I mean, aside from you're just quite a likable human being, from what I can tell.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
that yeah, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm learning some stuff from this woman. Yeah, okay, I get it now.
Learn
That's
from my
great.
mistakes. That's what I say.
Look, and I'm all about that. As a matter of fact, I told Allie that I brought show and tell today because you're always talking about your guides and how they're so hysterical and everything. And I didn't realize until you were saying that that's what this was.
Ah,
So I was in a rehab facility in when did all that happen for me? 2019, because 2020 was just a. I didn't think 2019. I mean, I thought it held the cake on the weirdest years. But then 2020 came along. But
Mhm.
2019, I was in a rehab facility for about. I think I was there for about 5 weeks after my back surgery. And while I was there, a friend of mine from Open Heart Spiritual Center, one of the sort of my, I like to refer to it as an unchurch. That's what the kids that went there called it, because it's not like any church you've ever been to. But a friend of mine there, she is an artist, a musician, all that sort of thing, and she does work with groups, kids groups, goes into nursing home, well, did before all this, nursing facilities, and does art projects with them, with the folks that are there. And so one of the kids groups that she worked with, she was there, and she asked them if they would draw me some get well cards, which is the sweetest thing in the whole wide world. And so I get this get well card from, I think her name is Charisse. Of course, it's probably going to be backwards, right? Yeah. Oh, well, we'll get to it anyway. And on the other side of the card, she writes, "Dear Rene, I hope your back feels better soon, and I hope you learn your lesson soon. I hope you feel better. Bye-bye." Yeah. Because the only thing that my friend told them when they were writing these cards for me was that I had been sick and that I was having to learn to walk again. So that's what she comes up with. And so at the time I thought, oh, how cute is that? Yeah, here's the spoiler alert. I didn't learn the lesson then.
I hate when that happens.
I know, right? Because at that point in time, I was still gung-ho on going back to my old job and this, that, and the other. And the universe came back and said, no, that's not what we're telling you. And so I had to go through another whole big, long ordeal. And yeah, so. But yeah, when you started talking about it, I was like, that's what that thing was. Damn it.
It was a lesson.
Yeah.
And I clearly did not get it at that point in time.
They don't mind.
Yeah. No, they don't, because they've got something else lined up for you. And, yeah, but here's what I learned. It's better go ahead and take the first one if you can, because the next one that comes wrong is not nearly as pleasant.
That's right.
Not that the first one was pleasant to begin with, but definitely not as pleasant.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Wow. It reminds me a lot of when my son was about probably not even 2 years old. And I told my then husband, I'm going to go upstairs and do some meditating because I want to meet my spirit guides. So I go upstairs and I shut the door. No one's in there. No one's coming in. I'm not talking. I'm just meditating. And I had a spirit guide come through that said that her name was Darlene. And I said, I don't care for that name. And she said, well, you can call me Darla. She said, you can call me Darla. I said, well, that would be fine. And, this is all going on with me. And so I finished my meditation. I opened the door. I go down the stairs, and my son's playing on the, downstairs on the living room floor. And he looks up at me and he goes, oh, hi, Mommy. Where's Darla?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I thought, wow is right. Because, you think you're thinking up these things sometimes, like, oh, I really didn't hear that. Or, that I was talking to myself or whatever. Yeah.
See, that's what I've been thinking. I'm just having these random conversations in my head. I thought I was just talking to myself. I didn't realize I was talking to something else.
Well, do you think that some people could think they were schizophrenic or that they had some kind of mental issue? Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose. I mean, for me, I guess I've just always kind of been imaginative to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And
creative. You're creative.
Yeah, creative. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought I was just, random thoughts rolling through my head. Didn't pay much attention to it. And now I'm like, oh, okay, I think there's more to that. I should start writing these things down.
So, Susan, I know a lot of your undoing took a while. When you first, do you remember thinking back now at a younger age or at a different time before you opened up to all your gifts that you were getting these messages, but you didn't know what they were at the time?
That's a really good question, Allie. I was such a fighter as a younger person, a pushbacker, and so I really don't, if I'm sure they were trying to help me.
Sure. Yeah.
But I didn't make space for them. Right. I mean, I always talk about, merging onto the highway. If there's no space in the cars, there's no way for them to get that message through unless they do like what they did to Rene, where, they actually cause you to have some event that maybe, they hope will cause you to then question some things. Now, I had a lot of events, but I'm hard-headed. I just plowed right through that stuff. So I feel like it happened when I started making a little bit more room for them. And then, I was doing a lot of work on me. I think that's part of the thing is when you're raising your own vibration, that's when, your vibration, it's easier for them to come in and meet up with you.
Oh yeah.
And I've done a lot of self-work and I was doing particularly a lot of self-talk, you know what I mean? Trying to stop the tapes that were in here that were not really to my best interest and replace them with my own new, versions. And then they started popping in, and I always say, it's like, if you're sitting inside and you're watching TV, but the weather's beautiful outside, but you're happy, you're on the couch, you're comfy, and then you get this thought to go outside and walk the dogs. You're like, well, why would I do that?
I'm comfortable. Yeah.
But that would be them saying, get your butt off the couch and go, be outside. So, there are going to be messages that maybe don't necessarily match up exactly with what you want to do. And that's your first clue.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, I had a really broad message. I'm trying to what they call level up at my job, and I have to write a paper about all kinds of different things. And I'm thinking more in the lines of cognitive information, how I teach, what I do, And I wrote it 5 times, and my supervisor said, I really don't want you to talk about this. I want you to talk about how students see you and how emotionally attached, you know what I mean? Like kind and compassionate, whatever, because on your reviews, it says all that. And I said, oh, I'm not comfortable doing that.
Allie, you couldn't even talk about it. You were like, emotional and kind, that kind of stuff. You couldn't even talk about it right now.
Well, and I realized what it was. When you spend 30 years trying to align with being a non-attached Buddhist, then you don't talk about yourself, how wonderful you are, how everybody loves you and all that stuff, because it's ego and it's not part of who it. Yeah. So that was my big problem. So I finally did what she asked, but I wrote at the very end, this was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. It really was. And it might not be for other people, but I think that's why I've never gotten a full-time job, because I'm not one of those people. I am too heart-centered. So.
But I love the idea of the Buddhist. I mean,
well, and there's.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Rene.
I was just going to say that kind of makes some sense about because when I was in corporate America, I did almost 10 years in corporate America and ended up leaving there because of mental health issues. But it's because I could not reconcile within me what I felt and how I wanted to treat the people around me and the people who worked under me, and what I was allowed to do by the corporate policies. And it really truly drove me to a place of mental and emotional
distress
and well-being.
I understand. Yeah. But well,
it's interesting how you said when I did 10 years, it almost sounds like prison.
A lot of it, but in a way, kind of it was kind of the same way that the previous job was. it was my time that I had to go through what I had to go through to learn what I had to learn so that I can do what I'm doing now. And what I'm doing now is, it makes me happy. It makes me feel loved. It makes me feel like I'm surrounded by love. And that I can treat, I know all the rules. I know the cover my butt rules on how to do something. That's why I feel confident with what I'm putting together for our website and our community center. I know the rules on how to protect us and all that sort of thing. But this is a chance to finally get to treat people the way I want to treat them without those particular rules, without the rules that say, the people you're dealing with are not people, they're numbers. And so for me, I'm really enjoying and looking forward to that, because we don't have enough of that right now. I think that's why we're all sort of coming together, and like Susan's been talking about, and that it fits in right with what I was thinking about as I was building and designing the community center, is that we all need to have our own place to come together so that we know what to do when we're reaching back to help the next group come through. And so that's kind of the thought behind the whole thing, to give us all a gathering place to help one another.
So you guys are going to love this. Susan Rice is one of Biden's top advisors. And she got Stephen Miller's office.
I just can't believe it.
I can't believe that.
I heard about this.
She smudged it.
I heard about that.
Yeah. Of all voices.
I love it.
Who gave her his office of all the offices?
I know. I don't know. But
is that one of those things where it's a set office space for that particular office holder?
Probably.
Maybe?
Yeah, because he was just an advisor, and that's what she is. So maybe that's what. Yeah, it is. Right. Oh, I see a doggy behind you.
She just went by. She just went by in the background, and Susan Rice is perfectly capable of handling that energy, and perfectly, I mean, of anybody. I love that it's Susan Rice too, because
I agree. She's open. Yeah,
and she'll deal with it. She probably sees it as an opportunity to fix the energy in that office, right?
Oh, sure she does. Yeah.
To upgrade it.
Well, that brings me to something else. You were talking, Susan, was it yesterday or day before, when you were talking about Joe Biden not exactly knowing what he's getting himself into? I'm not sure you have that right. I think he knows exactly, because I think I was talking to Allie last week about how I recognize Biden. I don't know if anybody's really taken into consideration, this man's been there. He may be the quiet one that nobody pays attention to, but those are the ones you got to watch out for. I know, because I'm one of them.
How true.
And he's been sitting quietly watching it and listening to all these people for 50 years. That man knows exactly what he's doing, exactly what's going on. He knows exactly how the game is played. That's why he's bringing in all these players like Susan Rice, people who know what the hell they're doing.
Right.
Because Joe knows. Joe has seen all this happening for 50 years. This man is not stupid. And just because he don't go running his mouth like so many other people do, doesn't mean he don't know exactly what he's up against.
Right.
But you got to know how to play the game too. And I think that's, again, where I recognize him, is that he may be quiet. He maybe doesn't say exactly, he's not rushing out and pounding his drums or nothing, but
he doesn't want to. He wants to sit back so we don't have someone in our head. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that, and if you're up there pounding the drums, then you're not in the back doing the work. So.
That's right.
Or golfing.
Or golfing.
Or golfing.
Right. But you know, what do you
Or
think
having
about
one
this?
sad little person show up to say, "Welcome
I know.
home."
Did you guys see his car? Did you see how the swirl marks, the buff marks on the car? Go Google a picture of the car Trump arrived in. The side of it looks like some fifth graders washed it. With Brillo pads.
Wow.
It's like,
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
the man couldn't even afford a normal car. Either that or.
Yeah, you'd probably get better off at Enterprise or Hertz or somewhere.
For real. For real. Either that or his driver, the people that he hired just hate him and said, you know, I mean, he's in New York, right? So they said, yeah, go out in the yard and get that car.
Wow.
It's missing
Not
a
what nobody
hubcap.
else wants.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what kills me is he's grifting right in front of our faces by that thing that he put out yesterday. Send me the money. I'll take care of it. Yeah.
That's
crazy.
right.
Yeah, just crazy.
That's right.
Wow. So do your guides have anything to tell us this morning, or am I putting you on the spot?
What do you want to know about? Is there a topic?
Well, let's see. Yes, I have something. I want to go on a vacation, like not outside the country, but I want to know by August, do you think I'll be able to go? That's what I want to know, really. Because I want to go up to Canada. So.
You want to go to Canada?
I want to go across Canada, yeah.
Oh, well, see, you said a vacation, but you didn't mention Canada part. Now, when you said vacation, they said it's up to you. You know, when it's your comfort zone, yes, you can go. I feel like it's quite hot. I feel like you're hot wherever you are, and you're not taken down into account, because I don't necessarily see you going to Canada.
Okay, that's fine. We were trying to drive across Canada to get to New England because I have a wedding in August to go to, but I can go across the regular country. That's fine. It's just that I've never driven through Canada, and I thought, why not do that? I've done every other road that there is. I mean, I've traveled probably about 25 times back and forth across the country with an RV. So, yeah, I wanted to.
Well, it would be great. Okay. I don't think Canada
might not be open.
I don't think we'll have the mass that they want us to have vaccinated. Yeah. For them to just carte blanche open the borders like that.
Yeah.
We will be vaccinating like no tomorrow, but I don't think we'll be to that point where they feel comfortable with us. Because it's a mess. You know, now when I look into the vaccines, it's a mess, because you've got these people that that won't take the vaccine, right? And then you've got people that do take the vaccine. And there's a weird karmic flip about that I will talk about, that I figured out yesterday. The mask, when we wear the mask, basically what it does is protect you, right? Because it keeps whatever virus I might have in my local area. It's not actually protecting me so much as it's protecting you, right? So as we get vaccinated, and those of us who get vaccinated, to my understanding, we can still carry the virus.
Yes.
We can carry the virus. And so now you have this situation where I'm not wearing a mask because I'm vaccinated, but you're not vaccinated, and therefore I can give you the virus. So it's the same karmic lesson. Do you understand?
Yeah, we're not there yet. We as a human species, we are not there yet. It is going to take quite a bit more time before we get all this together and sort out that it ain't about you. It's about everybody. And until we get enough people to tip over that spot where they realize and are willing and able to do something for others and not just themselves. But we're a society that's been taught selfishness and self-involvement and all that.
Freedom. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so it's gonna take. Somebody in a chat yesterday was asking, I was asking the reader, how long do you think this will take? How long do you think that'll take? And I'm like, 10 years, give or take. I mean, everybody's asking these questions like it's happening next week, but
no, I heard
we got a ways to go.
We do, and I heard this may continue in some way until the end of the decade.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to accept it, and we have to move on to do what we can do. And I think it's wonderful people are doing this. You know, it's important work. Yeah.
Well, and I think that we also have to accept that we're not going back to any kind of normal that we've ever known.
No,
before.
not like 2019, right? No.
We are not going backwards in any shape, form, or fashion. So, you know, a lot of it is, okay, people, that's lovely, but come on over here. We have things to do. And I kind of feel like that's where I come in to a certain degree, because that's sort of always been where I fit into things. It's like, okay, well, that's wonderful. That was amusing. That's entertaining. Yes. We'll get the updates. But we got some stuff over here we got to get prepped for the next group coming through. So come along. Let's go get our stuff and get busy.
You know, I often wish to ask a spirit guide, how do we stay in present and not get frustrated, and because we have to live with people that don't get it and don't want to get it, and it's that, I think that's hard. It's probably the hardest thing we've ever had to do. You feel that way too, Susan? Yeah.
I really do. Sometimes they show me, they do different things, but sometimes they show me, if you can look at these people as if they're toddlers, and I don't mean to say that they're,
no, I know.
I don't mean that disparagingly. I just mean that for me personally, if I can look at them as a child, then I don't have the same expectations, right? And then I can have more patience with them, because they keep touching the stove. Oh yeah, it burned me. You know what I mean? It's like, how many times you got to do that?
Yeah.
So, you know, you just have to, I'll tell you something weird that happened. I have a new way of connecting with some other guides, and they told me that these people are volunteers. Don't be mad at the people. Don't hold them accountable even. They're volunteers. They volunteered to embody this lesson for you.
And those of us that have been on the path, we've also volunteered, and we've volunteered to hold the light, I guess. I'm guessing. And I'm not any better than anybody. It's just that I'm more aware maybe of at least my own truth. Yeah.
You are aware. And here's you want to hear, I think, as hard as it is right now for us, the hard part is going to be when these people wake up, when the subliminal messages and whatever's happening stop, and then they wake up and they have this moment of truth where they realize that they have maybe lost their job, maybe they've lost their house, maybe they've lost credibility, maybe they lost their licensure, maybe they lost their relationship with their kids or their parents or with their spouse, right? Maybe they lost standing in their community. That's going to be, I mean, think about that, you guys. Think about waking up from being duped and then looking around and going, oh my God, oh my God, you know, and
what have I done?
All of us have to turn around, open our arm. They're giving me chills. That means they're particularly happy. That's when we have to turn around and put our arms out and our hands out and say, it's okay. We're going to help you. It's okay. You didn't know. You know what I mean? We have to have compassion.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. And I think that my personal history has a lot to play into this, because I've been there, you know. I grew up in that mindset and in that evangelical realm. And so I have had to walk away. You know, I don't have a relationship with my family of origin.
I'm sorry.
I'm
That's
estranged
sad.
from them by my choice.
By your
Because
choice.
I, because I couldn't take it anymore. They always wanted to make me the scapegoat, never wanted to accept responsibility for what they did. But, sure, if they wanted something, they'd just come after me, come find me. And it's just like, no, I'm not playing anymore. I don't have to. I don't want to. It got to the
Well, you
point where
set
I
boundaries.
literally,
Yeah.
yeah,
You set
oh yeah,
boundaries.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and that did
We all
not
need
go
to do
over
that.
well.
Yeah, I know. No,
I even
never
had
does.
to go so far with my mother as to threaten to get a restraining order because she would
Oh,
not
wow.
leave me
Sorry.
be, and she was harassing people that I worked with to try to get information about me. And it's like, no, if you want to know something about me, come to me directly.
Yeah.
Directly. You don't go asking everybody else, because guess what? They don't live in my skin.
Yeah.
They can't tell you anything.
Right.
You don't know because you never bothered to get to know me as a human being. You just knew I wasn't the daughter that you wanted, and when you got the one that you did, I became the essential worker that took care of the two younger ones, So it's just, so I've had to walk away from that, and then what I went through in losing my job. So yeah, I've been there. I've been at the bottom of the barrel, going, "Oh f,"
right.
So I get it, and I think that's where I can, I do have a lot more patience than a lot of people. And I've certainly learned a lot about compassion over the last few years in particular. So, yeah, just we're in this together. The sooner that we learn that we're in this together, the better off we're going to be. Just like I've heard some folks talking recently about how we all have and that's kind of the point of the community center as well, is that we all have our strengths, we all have our gifts, we all have our things that we bring to the table. And it's not supposed to look like everybody else's thing, because if it looked like if we all looked the same, what would be the damn point?
Right.
So like there was, one of the things that I'm good at is sort of recognizing those things in other people that they maybe don't even necessarily recognize themselves. For instance, there's two people I want to tell y'all about, because they're people that sort of other people overlooked. But the first one was one of my favorite women that I ever worked with. She was an older Black lady, and I'm from Memphis, so she's of that age where education was not something that was accessible for her, and so she was a brilliant woman, but she didn't sound like it per se. But Miss Danette was one of my favorites. She was one that when I was given the opportunity to build my own department, I said, well, I want her. And everybody was like, really? Why? Because she's good. That's why. She was one of those people that she would come to me and said, if we were learning something new, she might ask me a half a dozen different times in a half a dozen different ways to make sure that she understood it. But once Miss Danette understood, she was the person I could go, okay, now teach this to so-and-so.
Okay.
So, she wasn't she wasn't necessarily someone that other people would look at, but, when you give people some time and attention and listen to them, you find where they fit.
Absolutely.
There was another guy I worked with when I worked in construction, and he, poor dude, he would turn in his time cards to me every week, and I could not for the life of me get him to understand that 12 to 4 was 4 hours, not 5. Because he started counting at 12. Right? So 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like, no. sweetie, but I'll fix it for you. But you give that boy anything with an engine or a hydraulic system, and he could get it running. So
absolutely.
we all have our strengths.
We do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge the chat and to thank people for being
Sharon,
here. Yes,
and I saw Hughes, and we've got.
And we have
I can't say that one.
Abentika, I believe, asks if says, I feel the energy of people at times. Do I have any psychic abilities? I just simply said yes, but I was holding out for Susan to answer if she has anything to say to that particular.
Is that the one? I feel energies of people at times. Do I have any psychic abilities? Absolutely. Well, first of all, we all have psychic abilities. And the reason we have them is because we have gut instincts. You have an impression that I don't like that person, or I do like that person, or I have an impression that I need to check my tires, and it won't go away, right? And then you go look and you find out that you have a nail in your tire or something. But if you feel energies of people, you're also an empath. So I want to talk about that for a second, if I can, because I think it's really important that it's some things that I've learned that were like, like, hello, empaths. Okay. We walk around feeling things. We don't walk around observing things. Most people that aren't empaths, they observe. Oh, that person had something bad happen. I'm so sorry for them. Right. An empath feels that person had something bad happen to them. We feel it inside of us. We feel sad inside of us. And that energy now has come from them to us. And another way to describe that is if you think about a sponge and there's nothing, it's clean. And then you put the sponge and it barely touches inky water. And then the ink just soaks all the way up into the sponge. Well, the important thing about this, if you're an empath, is once you feel it, it's inside your body. That's not where it's supposed to be. You guys, we need to stop feeling things so much because we're taking in their sadness. We're taking in their whatever anger, whatever the energy is. Well, you know what? It's not supposed to be inside of us. We're supposed to stop it. We're supposed to observe it.
That's correct. Yeah.
So it can hurt, it can be physical.
They say, why do I hear ringing in my ear while doing tarot readings? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. This is, okay. So you can call it ringing, and then you can also call it like just a high pitched sound.
Yes.
And I get them now. I never got them, but now I get them intermittently all the time. And it's basically sending and receiving. Okay. So, when you have it in your right ear, it's coming in, it's like a download. And when it's coming out of your left ear, you're uploading. So
fascinating.
Unless it's debilitating, right? If it's just something that happens, then you can just think to yourself, I'm getting a download. Now, I'm going to tell you, I haven't been successful in stopping at that point and saying, okay, what is the download, right? That's something, for whatever reason, in my opinion, for my experience, if they're sending it in through your auditory, through your ear, it's not supposed to go through your consciousness, right? So I haven't been able to put that together as to what it was. But
everybody, I think that's one of those things that everybody experiences differently as well, because I know Scott Allen talks about the ringing in his ears, and there's another woman, I can't think of her name, but her channel is something like My Left Ear. And she talks about how she gets the information through her left ear. So I think it's, a lot of it boils down to individuality and learning your individual spirit language. The spirits speak to us in ways that we're supposed to, we are able to understand if we pay enough attention to what's happening and what's being said. But it's all according to, like for me, I've always, I grew up as a latchkey kid, so we watched a lot of TV. I watched a lot of movies. I did my college time in the retail business at the Blockbuster. So I get flashes of images or bits of a movie, or a scene in a movie, or a TV show, or whatever the case may be. That's kind of the way I'm finally figuring out that that's spirit speaking in metaphors that I will understand.
Right. Right. It's
So
like if
I'm still early on in the process, but that way, it's a language I already know, so that's how they're speaking to me, and I just have to get a little better about the interpretations, or the putting it together as to what it actually means.
Yeah.
And that's a great point. That's a great point, Renee.
So Carol from your reading on Saturday says she's feeling more energy every day. That's great.
That's great, Carol. I saw that. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. And Debbie Fitzsimmons, I've always talked about the book, and she's been hearing about the Akashic Records. Oh, I bet that is the book, Debbie. Don't you think? Because, I mean, we all have our own individual book, and then there is one huge one, isn't there? I mean, wow.
I believe that's the way Bob has explained it. Bob over on Lilac Lancer.
Right. And okay, some feedback from Abentika. Since he was a kid, I'm sorry if it's a he or she, I don't know. It's disturbed. You heard a cat crying, even if no one else could hear it. I'd hear cat crying and leave home. Oh yeah, I'm very bad with animals. If I see like a dead deer or a dead animal, or oh my God. And it wasn't until I learned about Native American spirituality, where you go by them and you just say aho, so that you can release their spirits. And but animals are always the hardest for me. They're harder than people for me. Do you feel the same way, ladies? Or
what do you mean harder?
Harder to not be empathic towards.
Yes. And I feel like, I don't know what you guys think about the cat crying comment, but I do that too. I go through periods of time where I hear a cat, and I have 2 cats right now, and I hear a cat, but it's not my cats. And but I have cats in spirit, right? So I have cats.
That's it. Yeah.
So I feel like that's probably what it is for this person. And they say that they've been rescuing them their whole lives. So obviously, this is something that they felt drawn to, right? This is something that that really resonated deeply. If you start doing something at 3 years of age, that's probably something that you've carried over from a previous life as well, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's interesting. I'm wondering if it's a cat in spirit that they're hearing,
That's very possible, because I know whenever I go for a reading to some reader in the past, when I have, they always say you have a cadre of dogs with you.
Yeah.
And they're sitting right beside you, and they don't leave. Yeah. So I understand. Yeah. Wow. That's great. Well, thank you for asking questions, everybody. And, I think we are guided to where we need to be, when we need to be there, to hear the message we need to hear.
Yes.
And it was funny, because I was pulling cards a couple of months ago, and every day, and I was, utilizing that intelligence from what I felt. And I went back to pull it the next day, but I shuffled them, and I pulled the same card 3 days in a row out of 78 cards. I thought that was very, very telling. It's like the second time I got chills. The third time I'm like, okay, I got the message here, so it's kind of fun.
So did you do whatever the card suggested, and then you got different cards?
Yep, I did. After I really thought about it, I write in my journal a lot. I wrote about it, and I, really spent time bringing it inside, I guess. And I did. I got different cards after that. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
And that's one way people can use the cards in their daily lives, right? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you say, keep a journal, and then maybe even jot down like what's happening in your life. Like I always try to preface it, because when I read it later, I'm like, it has no context.
Right.
So I don't know why, so I put a little context, and then I, put the cards, and then you can go back after a month, and it really will freak you out, right? How
perfect it really
how it follows your life.
Right. Right, absolutely. And I think we're sometimes we don't heed the, like you say, like Renee said earlier, you don't heed the message, you get the message again, or you get the lesson again and again and again. And we're also dealing with collective lessons. I just
Yes.
saw a post that said spring break is going to be traumatically, everybody's going to be on the beach. People are not going to be thinking. And it's like, how many times does it take to do a spring break thing together with everybody not vaccinated in order for them to wake up? And I just don't, I don't see that. So
We're going to tell you here in Texas.
Apparently the answer is a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
there's
lived
just-
in Texas. I lived in Texas for 7 years. I was not well accepted there. Let's put it that way, because I'm just not like the regular. But I did get my master's, my first master's degree there, and it really changed my life. So I don't ever have any regrets about where I am. But sometimes we have to go somewhere in order to get the material we need in order to move on. So yeah, absolutely. Wow.
I keep seeing that we need to hit rock bottom. My guides keep saying America needs to hit rock bottom because we're not, you can't really learn your lesson, right, until you're really ready to accept the lesson. And for us, we need to hit rock bottom. So one of the things about Biden in Texas, as you mentioned, with the mask, Texas has said you don't have to wear a mask anymore anywhere. Now, private businesses can make you wear a mask, but let me tell you, it was hard even when Texas told you had to wear a mask. People still weren't wearing masks. So now it's a free for all. But what they're showing me is that Texas will have a big outbreak of virus, and then we'll have a spike. And then the bottom line is that Texas will have to ask for federal help again, the same way we had to after we froze to death. And, Texas wants to succeed from the union in 1 minute, and the next minute they got their hand out to the United States. And help me, please. So this is what happens again is that these states that have these huge spikes, Biden will come into their state. This is where I think Biden didn't know what he was getting himself into, because Biden is a centrist, but I don't think he ever saw himself as an FDR kind of person. I feel like he's going to come into Texas as an FDR kind of person and say, this state can no longer help its citizens. It needs federal help. I'm going to come to Texas and I'm going to help with vaccines and I'm going to help with these things. But it's going to be a very government run scenario. And that's what we're going to have to hit bottom. And then Biden can do that. And then when Biden does that in these states, people will then say, okay, you know what? There is room for government. I'm happy that we have a president that actually is going to take care of us. And I'm happy that this president took it upon himself to make a point to come to my state and help us. And that's when you're going to start seeing some minds starting to change.
Yep. And, everybody's rock bottom is different. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Texas is 4 floors below everybody else's.
Well, he also went to Alabama and was really responsive to the people that were working for Amazon and wanted to unionize. And I thought to myself, they're going to turn and they're going to really like this man because he really gives a CRAP about them. So, yeah. I have something else that came up over here on the chat about the tall man with as bright as a beam of light and was so tall, et cetera, et cetera. You saw this at 7 p.m. My first feeling, it could have been a guide I know or an angel, but I think it was an archangel. If it's that bright, isn't it an archangel? I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think?
What do you think, Renee?
Oh, I'm not quite at the point of knowing the difference between all that. But bright light, I would think would be something, certainly something greater than your normal experience.
That's awesome, actually, if you were able to take it in. Yeah.
It's really awesome. And I find that the taller the guides or the angels, the bigger they are, the closer, not that there's a hierarchy, but they just have more light, right? They just have more emanating light. And then the other thing that I've seen And I just had a conversation with somebody this morning about this. We all know, or maybe we don't know, but some people are star seeds, right? They maybe haven't been reincarnated on Earth for thousands of times. Maybe they've only reincarnated on Earth for 10 times or 100 times. So their DNA, their energy is not very, it's not very much, human. It's a little bit more some other kind of energy. And I find that when I do readings for star seeds, their guides are like I'm like this.
Oh my goodness.
Not even 10 foot, but like skyscrapers. Their guides are different. They're different energy. They're from a different place.
Wow.
That's pretty interesting too, right? So I think it's fantastic that you saw this really big guide, and then also says my mom gets images of messages in her dreams. Maybe something to do with that. I think it's good. Yeah. Obviously, both you and your mom are very connected. You know what I mean? To spirit. To be able to see that means you're connected, means that you're open to it, right?
That's right. No fear. Right. Yep. That's awesome. Keep inviting them in, because they're there to help you, and you'll be able to figure it out if you allow yourself to just take it in and realize what it is, I guess. And you don't need to know too much more than the fact that they're good beings, it seems. Otherwise, their energy wouldn't be that bright white light, I wouldn't think.
That's right. That's right. And, they might want to do a journal, because if they're starting to wake up, what you miss like the first 6 months or year of it, because you're just like, what was that? Or what was that? So if you write it down, you could actually go back and know, oh, on March 3rd, I saw this of 2021. And then now it's 2022. And you have more to add to it, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So journaling is awesome. Even if you don't write a lot, or even if you put it in your phone or dictate it. Like, I don't like writing. I can't read my writing. So, you can dictate into your phone, into your note.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's all great wisdom to share. And thank you for reaching out. And also, we appreciate you being here. And Susan has her channel over at Susan Lynn Psychic Medium. And we really appreciate follows and likes and things like that. I would love to do this again, ladies. Oh, look, there's a kitty cat. There's a kitty cat.
Yeah, that's Miss Sophie, Queen Cranky Puss.
Oh, hi, Sophie.
She's the oldest of the feline contingent here.
Did you guys see the wisdom in her face when she just looked at the camera like we're all children, like she's checking on us?
Right.
Yeah, that's Sophie. she's the reigning queen around here for sure.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Well, ladies, I'm happy to do this anytime.
Oh, please, let's do it again.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun. And
I'm actually working on a thing. Trying to get, because Susan was on the remote view last week or week before. And y'all mentioned something about your ghost stories and doing a slumber party thing. So I'm actually working with Sheila right now, trying to do like a sponsorship thing with the website, so we can do a kickoff and do a sponsorship of you guys doing that. So
fantastic.
We're in conversations right now.
Yeah, I have to learn how to do that. Remote viewing. I really would love to learn how to do that.
Oh. You know what? Yeah. I had an introduction to it when I was married to my ex, but it wasn't one of those things that I hung on to, because we can all wield our powers for good or for not so good, and the powers, the intention behind what she was trying to accomplish did not fit in with what I thought was supposed to be happening. So I strayed away from it. But now that I understand, especially Whimsy talking about the heart-centered remote viewing, I'm like, that makes way more sense now. So yeah, that's definitely on my list of things to learn more about, for sure.
Well, good. Absolutely. So, all right, ladies, thank you. Always a pleasure. I'm going to let you go because we're almost up to an hour here, and, people get bored. So love to everybody. Thank you very much. And
thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you.